Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MoonBound Podcast. I'm Julia, and I'm your host, and I would like to welcome you into this space. This is primarily a knitting and spinning podcast, although I do talk about all sorts of other things, books, sewing, crochet, whatever else I'm working on, sometimes food. I do a once-a-week podcast and a once-a-week vlog. And this podcast is late. Sorry. The kids were home Monday and Tuesday, and that's why I'm taping this podcast at 11 o'clock at night, because there's just so much extra stuff to do when the kids are around, and it's so extra loud, and I'm talking to the camera, so here comes Racer Cat to join us, and I just couldn't get to it otherwise. I want to thank my returning viewers and welcome anyone who's just checking me out for the first time. This is Racer Cat. He really likes it when I'm talking to a computer or a camera, because then he gets extra pets. Or maybe he wants to talk to you. Not really sure. So let's talk about the works in progress. Can you sit down, kitty? Here is, it's going to fall. Here is the split back tank. It's going pretty well. I have, this yarn is Fibra Natural in Sea Song in their night colorway. And this is a Takini in white. It's a recycled cotton. There have been some changes to this. I'm at about 9 inches right now in length. Those of you who are returning will remember that I showed you this little double stitch that I did. Okay, you have to get off now. Honey, I have to be able to talk to the people. You go sit over here. Okay. Not on my arm. Thank you. And I said that I thought that it looked cool. That is probably the last time that I thought it looked cool, was when I said that. And every single time I've looked at it since, I've gone, gosh, I wish I had never started that. So today, sitting at the table while my friends were here, Reese was working on a second try and a hat she's working on, and I got it into my head that I was going to ladder it back and pick it out. And then I started, and it was like unzipping the two things. And I did get it laddered back, and I love it. It's going to add this lacy little bit here. The only problem is, that's the only way I can think to do it, is to do it as a double stitch and then interweave it like this in a pickup, which is nerve-wracking, compounded by the fact that that was right where there was a join. So in the next round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the pickup all the way down here and change all of these stitches over to look like this. And then I'm also going to do this section. And on the other side, I'm going to do this section and this section. But I'm going to leave this section on the other side, and moving forward, I'm going to do it as a double stitch. When I get to the row 16, where I would be moving it over one, I'm going to drop and fix all of the stitches that I've done and move it over and do those as a double stitch. And then the next time I go over, drop and fix. It will be a little bit more nerve-wracking, but I really love the detail. And I can't undo it now. So that's where we're at with that. I am almost done with ball number 3. I think I'm still on track for being able to complete this with the yarn I have, so that's good. The socks also managed to get out of the knitting bag this week, but not very often. In fact, like once. So here is the progress. I think this is about 1 inch since the last time you saw it. Let me slide my hand in there so you can kind of see. I love how this is turning out. I think it's a really beautiful pattern. This is the Union Square pattern. by Knitting Expat, and it is just really awesome, and every time I touch this yarn, I love it more. It's a little fiddly to work with, but I really like it. For spinning, I have found, because I did make it down into my sewing room, for spinning, I have found the skein that I am working on my drop spindle. So what I have to do next is attach this to this, overlaying these two pieces, and then this length will be in here with the rest. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do after that. I may decide to apply it against something else. I may decide to apply it against itself. I think there's some more corrections that need to go on in here. But it's really the only bit of spinning work that I've done. I did a little bit more on the drop spindle, but not anything worth showing. So, gosh, I love yarn. That's a good thing to say, seeing as I make it and work with it all the time. I mentioned I won a contest. Well, the yarn arrived today. And this is totally not an unboxing video. I've already been in here. And in fact, my husband actually was the one who opened it. He didn't read the name on the package. He's been waiting for stuff. So here's the yarn. And this colorway is called Pan is Back. It is in her classic glow base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, fingering weight 4-ply. This is about 463 yards in 100 grams, and the company is Glow Beauty from Within, and she has an Etsy shop, and her name is Carrie, and she is super awesome. She was very, very friendly through this whole thing, and she had offered this skein as a prize. Well, she offered a skein as a prize on Rachel from Wool & Spinning's podcast, and I am just so thrilled that I won. I am going to turn the skein into a shawl, and I may not be able to resist casting it on right away. Like, maybe after I hit stop. So let's it is just lovely, soft, and bouncy, and absolutely beautiful. It is just slightly a bluer green than it displayed on my screen. It looked a little bit more gray, but it is so pretty. And I'm definitely going to be ordering more skeins from her. But I kind of promised my husband I wouldn't buy any more yarn this month. But the month's almost over. So there's that. I briefly mentioned that I was going to be participating in Anna Knitter. That's her YouTube name. Her podcast's treasure chest along. And my little treasure chest arrived in the mail. I did try to tea stain it, but it didn't really take. Lots of people have been getting bigger boxes. Bigger, beautiful chests, or using something that they had that would qualify as a bigger, beautiful chest. I didn't have anything that I thought looked like a treasure chest, so I ordered one. And my thought is I'm only going to put an item in here very briefly, but I'm going to leave it out to remind myself of this cow, and small things will fit. And then I'm going to have another box that looks like a plain old boring box, so my children won't dig in it, that I'm going to use as my actual treasure box. But if it fits in here, it'll live in here for a little while, especially if it doesn't belong to tiny fingers who live here. I mentioned in the vlog, I think, that Giraffe, my friend's daughter's birthday, is her party is this weekend. So the very first things in my treasure box are stuff for her. She got a big kitchen set for Christmas, and so I'm making some accessories to go with it. Some dish towels. This one was kind of a mistake. I made 4, and then each of the kids were going to stamp one of them, and then I was going to do the last one. But Bunny put the butterfly down, and she really didn't like that the center of the butterfly didn't take. So I said that could be mine, and I would do some stitching and fix it. So I'm going to finish that one with some stitching. But I wanted to show them all off together because they're going to go off to her party. Now I have this folded over because I don't want to show off her name. But this is what Mouse made for her. And so she has 4 little dishcloths for drying her little pretend dishes. This is Bunny's that she made. And this is what Badger made for her. She found a whole bunch of cooking themed stamps and used those. The stamp ink has all been heat set, and these aren't going to actually be used for real dishes, so that should take care of that. I also made her some little dishcloths to wash her dishes with. Her mom uses all sorts of handmade dish rags, so she will look just like her mommy. And the kitchen set is actually in her mother's kitchen, which I think is such a cute idea. And so she's the kitchen is green themed. Mom's kitchen, not baby's kitchen, is green themed. So I made up 4 little green crocheted dishcloths and dishcloths today. And Bunny wanted to make her something special, and so she did one of those little loom looper pot holders for her. It's kind of not straight, but we had some trouble finding her loop. She's got a giant bag, but in my inability to get downstairs and mind them, and also a bit beforehand, if I'm more honest, my children took a bunch of craft supplies and a bunch of toys and kind of trashed our rec room. And the loops and a whole bunch of pony beads were included in that. So the floor is kind of treacherous down there, and I could not find enough loops to make this project. But she really wanted to do it. So, being the kind of mom I am, I cut up an old sock. It was clean. It's okay. And it had given me a long service there, and so I just cut as many loops, this is the heel, as many loops as I could out of this old wool sock. It wasn't hand knit, which she thought was really, really amusing, and then she used it, so she ended up with a much more purple and brown pot holder. So there is my first things for the treasure box: Cal and Little Giraffe's present. And I must have done some magic folding before, because I can't get this closed anymore. I haven't still finished anything else. That is the extent of the finished objects. The other thing that I mainly did this weekend was work on cleaning my studio, and this week's vlog will have more information about that, and some sped up video of me running around going, how did it get this way? But it was really good to get down there, and so I cleaned it yesterday. No, I cleaned it Sunday. Today's Tuesday. I cleaned it yesterday, and then it kind of beat me up a little bit, getting up and down and getting stuff done. So I didn't get back downstairs until today when we worked on the dish towels. And I am also trying to unclutter my house because it is very evident that the amount of stuff we are currently holding on to is not sustainable if I'm not running around behind everybody putting everything away. And while it is occasionally nice to tidy everything up and make everything look beautiful, I don't want to spend all of my time doing that. And I don't want to ever put my family in this situation where mom can't do it, so we're just going to have to deal. If I can prepare for another bad thing, if I can get the house organized so that if something bad happens, it isn't such a big deal, then that's what I'm going to do. So one of the things I did today was go through just the first shelf of my bookshelf downstairs with my crafting books. And I am kind of addicted to books. I have them everywhere. In my line of sight, I have 7 books, although one of them is a journal. And I have one over there, and I have a couple behind me, I know. And then there's a whole bookshelf over that way. And that's just this room. And a lot of them I read all the time. I reread novels. I look at reference material all the time. But some of them I don't. And I want to get those books back there onto the bookshelf so that I can see them and I can find them easily. And those books that I'm not reading are going to be let go because someone else might love them. They might be really important to them. And they're in the way of the books that are important to me. So I took a bookshelf that's maybe this big. And just the top shelf, mind you, was mostly quilting books. And I don't do a ton of quilting anymore. And a lot of these books I bought second, third, fourth, whatever hand. And so I thought about it while I was sitting up here last night. Like, I think I could get rid of some of those. I think I could let that go and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I thought, well, I know that there's I could think of 5 titles that I really wanted to keep. And so I just went through and I got a box, and when I filled the box I was done. Although that wasn't the intention, I went through that one shelf. And I think I kept 7 or 8 books off that shelf, and everything else I offered to Reese when she got here. I don't think she took any because she's trying to declutter her house as well. That sort of thing is very typical for January, I think. And they are in my car waiting to go to the thrift store in the morning. And I actually don't think I'm going to keep all of the 7 or 8 that I kept. I think I'm going to keep probably 2 less than whichever number is the total. I just wasn't ready to let go of it tonight, and that's okay. Tomorrow I'd like to do the next shelf down, which I will probably get rid of less books. There's some spinning books and there's some quilting books, but I'm going to go through the whole bookshelf and make a decision book by book. Go through each shelf, each book, and I'm going to make a decision book by book as to whether or not I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to try to do a shelf that, it's not a bookshelf, but a shelf in my bedroom that's just jammed with all sorts of random things. Here I don't know where to put this. It ends up in the parents' room because the door's closed when people come over, kind of thing. And so I have no clue what's on that shelf. Certainly never ever dig on it. I just kind of jam more things in it every once in a while. So I'm going to try to get through that too. And I think that eventually, because it's a built-in section in the wall that was supposed to house a TV back when TVs were deep and had things. But it's not quite deep enough to turn into a closet. We already looked at doing that. I think I'm going to turn it into a bookshelf, and then I'm going to store yarn in front of the books. And then that'll be a yarn storage out on display, because I think that while it was very nice, it was very convenient for me to say, just to go get me the gray bin, because I have all of my single balls, it's still unopened. I haven't started it. I had a label when I bought it, yarn, and it wasn't bought for a couple of specific projects that have their yarn elsewhere. I have that stash, which doesn't also include my weaving yarn. She makes all these qualifiers, all set aside in one spot, in one bin, and it all fits in one bin, just barely. It was neat having the ability to say to my son to go get me that. I know you can't find the exact yarn I'm looking for, but I don't derive much pleasure out of not being able to see the yarn. And I'm not coming up with ideas for yarn that's in the bin unless I go into the bin and dig and go, okay, I want to work with this yarn, so I'm going to find a pattern for it. And I'm doing some of that, but I think it would do more if I had the yarn out where I could see it on display. So I'm looking for a place to do that, and I'm looking to get more organized. I do have a spreadsheet with all of my yarns in it, and I know exactly what I have, and I could look at it on the computer, but it's not the same. So I want to be able to see it, and I'm going to try that for this year, and maybe I'll hate it. I don't know. So that's my project for cleaning, and I'm going to plow through more of these, and hopefully I'll have one of the two of them done in January. That would be good. But we'll see. So, with regard to my reading, I haven't made any more progress really yet. A couple of pages. My husband jokingly suggested that I replace the word fiber with the word penguin. And a friend suggested that I try to read it in my head in James Earl Jones's voice to see if that would improve it. While it does make me laugh, it doesn't actually help me get through the book. So I am going to buckle down this week, and I will have it done this week, in part because I don't want to continue reading it. All the other old knitting, spinning, quilting, everything, every old book I've ever read on any topic, I have found multiple reasons why it was useful to me to have done that. You'll notice he snuck back on my lap. I'm not really sure when that happened. He just does this. But I found multiple reasons for, why it was a good idea for me to read it. Valuable tips that I took away, whether it was a technique that's kind of fallen out of favor, or just a descriptive way of talking about the yarn or the wool or whatever. I'm just not finding for this book. I'm not connecting with this author, and if it weren't a book that I was reading for the COE, I would put it down and leave it be and not go back. But it is a book that I've decided to read for the COE, so that makes it homework and just something I have to finish. But there are all these other compelling, interesting books around. So that's kind of where we are at with that. Hate to give kind of a negative review, and you know what, someone else with a different temperament or a different set of things that they're looking for may in fact find that it is a great book, and it certainly is detailed. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. It's getting kind of late, and I don't actually know how long this is, and it did stop once on its own, so that always makes me nervous. I don't know why I did that. And I will chat with you again next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.